that I will remember always. It was so difficult.
Well done.
Thanks a lot.
The story of the RAC Rally. The first rally of the 1986 World Championship is the famous Montecarlo Rally. That's in January, and we'll have McFarland equalising Clive. It's not so many years ago since people used to go into their garage, get in the family saloon, drive it down the road and win the Montecarlo Rally with it. Things of late have got a little more complicated, of course, but this year, the 54th running of the rally, it's just finished. The British much in evidence once again, because of course once upon a time we used to actually win it, you know.
For years, the prestigious Montecarlo Rally was a British preserve, with 3 glorious victories for the audacious Minis in the 1960s. But now, some 20 years on, with the Mini long ago overcome by the specialised supercars, a new challenger from Britain, the MG Metro 6R4, a dramatic contrast to its cheeky ancestor. To follow the Spartan workmanlike Mini with its simple transverse front engine, the rear-engined V6 four-wheel drive MG Metro with over 400 horsepower, which made a brilliant international debut in last year's Lombard RAC Rally. Tony Pond is the driving force who, with the Austin Rover technicians, has patiently developed the Metro into a car to challenge the Peugeots, the Audis and the Lancias. And he starts his Montecarlo Rally in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower, smartly clad to start the non-competitive run down to Aix-les-Bains. Number 1 world champion Timo Salonen starts his Peugeot 205 on the long drive to Monaco. Third last year when his teammate Ari Vatanen won, Timo's got much tougher competition this year. Amongst it, Tony Pond, creating enormous interest in the chunky Metro, which should be a really strong contender.
I think the car can be very good on this particular rally. It's going to have every type of weather condition. We've done a very good practice. We've had no real problems in practice. So I'm hopeful for the car and hopeful for the team.
What preparation have you done, Tony?
Well, we started on the 4th of December and we've been working steadily through with about a week off for Christmas. So we've done, I think, about 11,000 kilometres, 300 hours of driving on the practice. So we know fairly well, but the problem is the weather conditions change and the snow changes the actual angles of the corners when the snowplow goes through the particular corners. So it's going to be difficult. It won't be easy.
And after 2 weeks of practice, Malcolm Wilson in the second Metro gets on his way for the fairly leisurely run to Aix-les-Bains, where the rally really starts. All of France is watching TV to follow the progress of the Peugeots and the new Citroëns, and to see how the weather is going to affect things as the competitors get into the mountains. The forecast is wind and rain ahead. But on day 2, Sunday afternoon, at the first stage of Le Châtelard, it's thick, thick snow to mask the road and reduce the grip as Salonen roars into sight. And then the Montecarlo Rally Meisterfahrer, water roll in the latest Audi Quattro, 4 times a winner in the last 6 years in 4 different makes. But Marco Allen in the astounding new Lancia Delta, which dominated the RAC Rally, is an unhappy man with a power-sapping ignition problem. In his first drive for Peugeot, Finland's Juha Kankkunen, the applauding crowd welcoming a new hero for France. Tony Pond's taking it easy at the start, just as he did in the RAC Rally. A long way to go in this crucial event, so he's pacing himself carefully in the 3-litre Metro. Hannu Mikkola, Audi Quattro, world champion in 1983, but amazingly yet to win the Monte Carlo Rally. But just look at Henri Toivonen in the Lancia. Always flamboyant, Henry's really got his tail up after his morale-building win in the RAC Rally. And if there's one thing a French crowd loves, it's a Frenchman in a Peugeot, Bruno Sarbi. This year, helicopters are not allowed for service crews, but the press are up there as young Italian charger Mickey Biasio rockets through in his Lancia Delta to the accompaniment of derisive French whistling. But they all love number 10, the glamorous Michel Mouton, out of the Audi team and into a Peugeot. And now Malcolm Wilson, rock steady. Lots of power from the non-turbo Metro engine and bags of grip. Stage 2, the Col de Tami, south of Chaumery. Henri Toivonen leads in the Lancia. And a sensational, totally unexpected second, it's Peugeot's test driver, Bruno Sarbi. So, Lancia leads, Peugeot second and third in the brutal Audi, Walter Roll. Getting towards the end of the first competitive day. Clear but cold, and as ever in France, something good to eat while you wait for them to arrive high in the Alps. La Chartreuse, a 27-mile stage rising to 1,300 metres. Fastest last year, Mikkola, and Toivonen leads. Ice patches everywhere. Treacherous conditions, but Marco Allen is up to second and Biassion is third. The Lanciers are sensationally fast on their special narrow Pirelli tyres. They've waited for their man Bruno Sarbi a long time in the bitter cold, and there he goes, fourth. Walter Roll, though, is only keeping in touch, suffering from the wrong tyres. And bitter gall for Tony Pond. This is almost the end of his rally when defective steering makes him retire. So now the MG team's hopes are carried by Malcolm Wilson, well placed at 9th. Day 3, Monday, dry and bright. The rally restarts after the overnight halt at Aix-les-Bains. Into the second leg, the Ardèche below Saint-Étienne. The incredible turbocharged and supercharged Lanciers, first, second and third, dominating the Monte as they dominated the RAC Rally. And Henri Toivonen, leading his second World Championship rally in succession, is really flying. Walter Roll in the Audi is starting to charge, catching the Lanciers who've made a wrong tyre choice. And Salonen too, a man who knows just when to apply the pressure, senses it's time to do just that. He's closing on Allen and Biassion as up into contention too comes Hannu Mikkola's Audi. What a scrap! And with a long way still to go, Malcolm Wilson's only just out of the top 6 in the Metro. But all is not well behind the leaders. In the new four-wheel drive Citroën, Jean-Claude Androuet is about to retire with teammate Bomberg out long ago. And here's Bertrand Ballas in trouble with his Alfa Romeo. Now, life being what it is, when you're at your wits' ends trying to fault find against the clock, you can bet your boots that some helpful punter will emerge from the scenery to tell you just what to do. Entraigues, high in the Ardèche, 10 stages completed, 26 to go at the famous apple pie halt, cheerfully supplied by an ex-rally driver turned restaurateur. Toivonen arrives 1.5 minutes ahead of his fellow Finn teammate Marco Allen, who's still a very unhappy man with continued ignition problems.
I have misfiring all the time.
So what effect's it having on the car?
Well, you know, it's sometimes down, sometimes up, change all the time. Now I take this computer, but nobody find now in 2 days nearly.
And Toivonen's unhappy too. Wrong tyres and faulty brakes.
It was my mistake, the tires. I could have taken harder rear tires, but I thought that the temperature is a little bit lower on the top. The brake problem, I will keep bleeding them.
And Walter Roll, third now. No problems, just eat the pie. Timo Salonen in the lead Peugeot is fifth behind Biasion and ready to go before his car is. And now Malcolm Wilson leaves, seventh, but with a dodgy transmission. Day 4, Tuesday, the demanding Berzé stage, and Henry Toivonen, with his new co-driver Sergio Cresto, consolidates his lead. His Lancia Delta looking and sounding superb. Timo Salonen, fourth in the Peugeot, which only a few months ago was virtually unbeatable, but which here is fighting for survival. Marco Allen, second, but not for much longer, soon to succumb to that faulty ignition. And the leading Audi, Hannu Mikkola. For Walter Roll, briefly up to second, has had a puncture and lost 6 minutes. In fact, it's disaster time for poor Malcolm Wilson too. His Metro, limping along with two-wheel drive, has less than a mile to go. Both Metros out of a very unhappy Montecarlo Rally for the MG team. And look, Toivonen still leads, but in a severely deranged Lancia after hitting an oncoming motorist head-on. The motorist's okay, but the Lancia isn't. A new front hides a badly twisted chassis, and Henry's having major handling problems. But he's used to going off, and he'll take a lot of stopping and catching. This is the old master Hannu Mikkola's chance, though. Summoning all his experience and skill, he's using every one of the Audi's 500 horsepower in a determined effort to close the gap. While Bruno Sabi, grasping the opportunity the Peugeot team boss Jean Todt has given him, isn't just hanging on in 7th place, he's gaining. But for Michel Mouton, the darling of the French and everyone else, is on her way out, sadly to drop from 8th to nowhere. The High Alps on Wednesday morning, stage 22, snow, icy roads and real drama. Henry Toivonen appears obviously driving very gingerly. And it's not just the surface. The Lancia's got a punctured Pirelli and it's costing him 1.5 minutes of his hard-won lead. So, Timo Salonen, now second, scents victory and storms the Col des Garcinets, stabbing the throttle. His Michelin scrabbling for grip. And Mickey Biasion's keeping up the pressure too. A superb rally for the young Italian, now in third place in spite of electrical problems with the Lancia. Into the Maritime Alps now, out of the snow, into the sunshine, and the Audis are clearly beaten. Mikkola 4th and Roll 6th. Kankanen's Peugeot 7th now, but short of fuel. But the Monte Carlo Rally's far from over. In fact, it's very exciting, for there's now a new leader, and here he is, Timo Salonen, gently motoring to the Parc Fermé in Monaco, #1 on the car and in the rally. And tradition says the man who arrives at Monaco in the lead wins, so it's a happy Timo.
Today was very good, no any problems. And I took right tires, not like in beginning of rally. I make some mistakes and I lost a few minutes.
But you've speeded up and caught them back, Timo.
Yes, we are leading now, and I think so Lancia may make today mistake about tires and all chase now.
all change indeed. Thursday morning, the medieval village of St. Agnes, and Timo Salonen really going for it, desperately hoping for the dry roads that suit his Michelin tyres. But for Toivonen, and there he goes, and Miki Biasion, wet roads would be better for their Pirellis, so anything could happen, and probably will. And in the twilight of his magnificent career, it's clear that Hannu Mikkola isn't going to add a Monty win to his achievements, this year anyway, any more than his teammate Walter Roll is going to make it 5 wins in 7 years. Juha Käänkkönen willing the Peugeot on, up to a fine 5th now, for Biasion is out. Peugeot's 1st, 5th and 6th, for Bruno Sabi's on the leaderboard now. But with another swing of the pendulum, it's a weary Timo Salonen who slowly cruises into Toudon at the end of stage 29 in 2nd place. Unsuitable tyres and an inspired charge by Henri Toivonen have cost Timo the lead, but it hasn't been easy for Toivonen.
It's not easy to drive at all. We are coming like in gravel roads, you know, all right corners sideways. Left corners, it's understated. But it's hard driving.
But it's the same for everyone, Henry, isn't it?
I think everybody doesn't have a banana car. We have the front wheel in after the accident.
True enough, so what can you do about that?
Change the car.
So now, Thursday night, almost at the end, for it's the famous Turini Pass. 15 miles, 1,600 metres high, and it's not hard to see that it's an Italian car in the lead as Toivonen blasts past in the magnificent Lancia Delta. It's a Finn leading and it's a Finn 2nd. Salonen in the Peugeot, 3rd last year, 2nd this. And it's a Finn 3rd too. Hannu Mikkola with 3 different makes in the top 3 places. And Walter Roll, cruising by his standards, got nothing to be ashamed of. 4th in spite of losing 6 minutes. Then the other Peugeots with yet another Finn, Käänkkönen, 5th in his first rally for the French firm. And Bruno Sabi limping along on 3 cylinders here in the Turini on his way to 6th. So, back to motorsport's most famous harbour at Monte Carlo for the 7 a.m. finish on Friday after an event to remember. This was Henri Toivonen's Monte Carlo Rally. A quite brilliant drive to win the most prestigious event of them all, exactly 19 years after his father Pauli did the same thing. And to give notice to the veterans that there's a new contender for the World Championship.
That, of course, was Murray at the Monte. Well, now...